I don't know if I'm going to be able to create this video with my cell phone very nicely because I might have to build stuff. So I might have to put the phone down at one point. But because some people have been replying to my YouTube videos and online and Facebook, I decided to dig this old thing out. So here we go. Copper. It's just copper tape put on the rails, the monorails, lips over the edges. And this is one of the issues, is that on top it sticks very nicely, but it never stuck nicely on the edges. It fills up really nice and it gets all beat up. So that's one issue right off the bat. But as you can see, the copper is on there and it looks pretty nice. This is the original. I left some on when I did it years ago. The other issue, of course, is you can't go from hot into cold and back into hot because the copper bubbles. It pushes up. I don't think I have a specific spot, but you can see kind of there. Like this is all smooth when I put it down. But if you come into hot from cold, it gets bad. The other thing is, like even the joints here, they work pretty good, right? So you fold it over the edges, and it makes it continue. It makes contact. So you don't have to solder or whatever. You just put the tape over the edges and you bring the two pieces together and you click them on there and it works nicely. The problem is, of course, the ends that pop up at all time, and you get these little bumps right at the seam. They weren't there at the beginning, but they're there now. But what am I gonna do? So I dug out my one platform, my one monorail base, and you can see that the wires, a little beat up here, they're coming through and they look like a bird's nest, whatever. But of course they come in, and it hasn't run in a while, so there's a lot of oxidation and those wires aren't the best. So this thing's sitting pretty proud. But if you put the weight on top, I put actually a few weights on here, keep it down. And so it comes off the pickups and it goes to the motor, and you go over to this thing and you turn it and nothing happens. What happened? What am I missing? Oh, I forgot. The actual motor has to be on, so you can't just leave it in the center. Obviously. So here we go. And I get stuck. How about, let me go the other way. Okay, this thing was working right before I started making the video. What is going on here? Oh, the motor wasn't on all the way. But anyway, so you can hear it stuttering a little bit. It's having a tough time. I've been trying to come up with better ideas for the pickup. Like some maybe little metal plate, like the old slot, some of the old slot cars, the mini slot cars had just a little metal plate on the bottom that pressed onto the pickups. Something maybe with a spring on it. But so this is kind of neat. So anyway, no battery box. It's all powered off the rails. But I'll show you something that's even I think better, and it's going to be better for me. So I'm going to stop this thing right here. And let's just see if I can do this one-handed while I'm holding onto the phone. So we disconnect that, and we get this guy. Now, this guy right here, as you can see, it's Dave made. Has some problem with the ABS glue, but anyway, it works. This is my first iteration in M for motor, light 1 and light 2. So that's a 2x8 hollowed out brick, a couple plates too. And with a power 2x8 plate on top. This is my second iteration. I made it into a smaller platform. So the inputs and the motor on top, and the two light outputs are on the bottom. And the dot means that's the inside. That's the power in. But I made this the smallest one. Again, I made these years ago. So anyway, so I can put the lights on it. The lights have to go on the bottom for now. You can run wires. So I'm going to put that. Oh, I can do this one-handed-ish. So, I didn't orient that right. The dot is in. So it has to go from the power pickups to the in. And then go from the out to, make sure that's off, to the monorail motor all one-handed. Huh, how about that? Again, the motor has to be on. Then you have to migrate this guy from the pickup over to, come on, over to the RCX that has LDCC on it. So this is the RCX. Turn it on. Turn on LDCC 1.05. You get the remote, and I think it was, oh, well, this is the quickest way. So again, if you don't know what remote you're using, look at that. So so again, you hit the number 2. So this one's programmed for number 2. If you hit 1, nothing's gonna happen. If you hit 3, nothing's gonna happen. But if you hit 2, the light comes on. But also, this is the fun part. So I'm gonna aim this at the RCX. Okay, go. And nothing happens. Light comes on. What am I missing? Probably the motor again. No? Let's see. Huh. Absolutely nothing. This thing, again, was working seconds ago. Maybe it's not pushed down hard enough. There we go. So that was it. So now with my remote, I can stop it. I can make it go forward, stop, go backwards, as long as the pickups work. Come on, pickups. Turn the light on. So turn the light off, turn the light on, stop it. Again, when this thing was smooth, it would not, the pickups work fantastically. So I got to come up with a better solution for that. So there's a few issues. Also, it has variable speed too. So you can slow it down. So you don't usually see a monorail with various speeds. And you hit stop. And then you go the other way. Now at low speeds, okay, I guess there's a dead spot there for the pickups. Come on. I have to work on that. So you slow it right down. And I better go fast, so it just keeps on going and across the gaps until I get better pickups. But anyway, so that's the RCX. The RCX with LDCC going through, soldered to the copper rails here, one on each side. I did that years ago too. And then you can run your monorail motor without any batteries, and you can fully control it when the pickups work well. So here's something about the lights on a DCC chip. Trains have this. When you go backwards, the back lights on. If you go forwards, the forward lights on. So this way, you can see the backup lights on. And then, oops, stop. Let me go the other way. And the other light comes on. You can do what? You can jump that so the light stays on whichever direction you're going in. It doesn't matter. But the DCC chip had that, so I separated the two light outputs. So it does do forward and backwards. Other than that, voila. The issues are obviously the actual copper. A bit of a pain to maintain on here. Again, as I say, these ends. So you get this in a better light. They just don't seem to want to stick. I mean, it's the same copper. I think it's because the top is a little rough and the ends here are very, very, very smooth, and the things just didn't want to grip to them. I was trying to think of some sort of glue or something to hold them there, but I also need them to be able to join together with the regular monorail connectors, right? The plates, the 1x4 plates. So if you put glue on the ends to hold the copper down, it's going to make millimeters or micrometers, and these things might not hold together nicely or be able to bond together nicely with the 1x4 plates. This works on ramps. It doesn't work through switches. Sorry, I never got it working through switches because I don't use switches on my layouts at shows because I don't want to worry about switches, and switches get old and they get dusty and they stop working and you kill batteries and blah, blah, blah. Although with this thing, you don't have to worry about it. But there you go. I hope you liked it. I'm going to try to come up with an idea. I've been thinking about it for a decade now, trying to come up with the biggest problem is the pickup. It is that spaghetti factory, those bird nests right there, and then they wear out, and they don't allow the bogie itself to actually ride on the track because they're too thick. You know, there's not much clearance between the bogie and the actual track. But you have a little bit of room here. I drilled holes. I used my Dremel to drill into the bogie so the wire can come down. Maybe I can try to show you that while I'm here. So I'm going to pop this off. So pull that out. Again, all one-handed. I did use my Dremel to cut that little notch in there, just like a train base plate, so I could put the power connector through. See, look at that. I tried to make it pretty, but not so much. So I'll pop this off. One side, two sides. So you can see the wires go through little holes that I drilled. Now, this one's really beat up. I made better ones. So my original premise was to put it, you can see the holes in the front here, right there. So it would come out through the front of this little square. And then I'm gonna get this out of the way. Actually, I'll just borrow this boogie. That's not done. So my original premise, and hopefully I get a pointer, was to come out here and just loop right over that and go on the other side. So it was like, it would just be over top of this whole square, a little piece of steel or something. There we go. I can do that. A little piece of steel, and then have it soldered or spring loaded. Put a little spring in there that pushes the steel against the track. See, I thought that was a really cool idea. Like get something out of it, like a Bic pen or something, like a click pen, and just push the steel down onto the copper. And then have the steel a little bit of a curve to it, so it's not flat. It's a little curved up, kind of like that. See, there's look at the bottom of that brick separator. A little piece of steel that looks like that. Not as pronounced, I don't think, but it'll just go around and just rest on top of the steel, on top of the strip, the pickup, and put a little spring in there that would just kind of push it and keep it on contact. I thought it was a great idea. The problem is I couldn't find little soft springs, maybe a little piece of foam, maybe, and I couldn't find a nice piece of very light steel. So today I was actually looking at this. This is one of my wife's tea lights. This is a little piece of aluminum, which is very easy to cut. I might find one that we've already used and cut a piece of aluminum and see if the aluminum can like span that distance and have a nice little curve to it. And that's my next experiment. But anyway, 13 minutes into this, there we go. People asked for it, and I decided to show it to you. So hope this helps. Take care. Bye.